Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of October 12, 2025. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. The armed forces of the Russian Federation sustained offensive operations across all operational sectors, with coordinated precision strikes and maneuver warfare focused on attritional degradation and tactical depth consolidation. The tempo of operations emphasizes the systematic dismantling of Ukrainian defensive networks, destruction of logistics infrastructure, and neutralization of command and control assets. Over the past 24 hours, Russian forces have inflicted extensive losses across 6 fronts: north, west, south, center, east, and Dnipro. Utilizing combined arms coordination supported by operational tactical aviation, unmanned strike systems, missile troops, and precision artillery. This operational rhythm underscores the continued transition from linear engagements to multi-domain attrition, designed to compress Ukraine's combat endurance and disrupt its sustainment capabilities before winter conditions set in.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel AUC3I Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Colonel Oguntoye, let's begin with the overall picture. What would you say defines the operational rhythm over the past 24 hours?
The defining characteristic of this operational cycle is synchronized attrition. We're seeing a deliberate shift from high-speed maneuver to controlled pressure across the entire front, not a stall, but a recalibration toward endurance operations. The focus has been on crippling Ukraine's sustainment systems, its energy infrastructure, transport corridors, and electronic warfare networks, all of which underpin its ability to fight effectively. Every front is now operating as a cog in a larger attritional mechanism. Operational tactical aviation, unmanned strike systems, and long-range missile forces have worked in tandem to hit 137 critical locations, most of which are tied to logistics or command support functions. What this means is that rather than fighting for symbolic ground, the Russian armed forces are fighting to erode capacity, to ensure that when winter sets in, Ukrainian formations are logistically brittle, technologically blind, and psychologically strained.
Let's start with the Northern Front, particularly Sumy and Kharkiv. What's the latest development there?
In the north, the operational aim remains containment through destruction of mobility and supply routes. Over the past day, we engaged mechanized, airborne assault, and ranger brigades, supported by a territorial defense formation. The engagements centered around Andriivka, Verakino, and Novaya Sek in Sumy, and extended into Volchansk in Kharkiv. Ukrainian losses exceeded 160 personnel, and multiple supply depots were destroyed, but more importantly, our operations neutralized their local logistics chain. This is the essence of logistical denial warfare. The northern zone isn't about dramatic territorial advances, it's about cutting arteries, forcing the Ukrainian command to overextend itself in resupply and redeployment.
So it's fair to say the north is shaping rather than breakthrough territory?
Exactly. The north acts as a strategic hinge. It keeps Ukrainian reinforcements tied down while denying them maneuver flexibility further south. Think of it as keeping pressure on a valve, not bursting it open, but never allowing it to close.
Shifting to the west, we've seen repeated references to Kupiansk and Drobyshevo. What's happening on that front?
The west group of troops achieved incremental yet decisive advances. Ukrainian mechanized and assault brigades, reinforced by a special operations element, were engaged near Kupiansk and Stavki. What's significant here is not just the 220 personnel losses, but the systemic destruction of electronic warfare systems, 7 stations this cycle alone. Electronic warfare is the battlefield nervous system. Once it's disrupted, an army can't coordinate, can't see, and can't respond effectively. By destroying these nodes, we've gained what we call electromagnetic dominance, control over the information layer of the battlefield.
That's a key point. How does this information dominance translate into physical maneuver advantages?
When you dominate the spectrum, you shorten your own decision loop while lengthening the enemy's. Our strike cycles are faster, drones can loiter without interference, artillery can fire without jamming, and armored units can reposition before the enemy even knows they're in motion. It's a doctrine built on temporal advantage through signal suppression.
Moving to the south, Donetsk remains one of the most active combat zones. How have operations evolved there?
The South Group improved its tactical posture around Seversk, Kramatorsk, and Konstantinovka. Here, the engagements were heavier, involving multiple mechanized and airborne assault brigades. Ukrainian losses surpassed 185 personnel, but the real outcome was logistical paralysis. Several fuel and supply depots were destroyed. This is a continuation of encirclement by fire tactics, isolating Ukrainian units through sustained firepower rather than physical encirclement. By removing their mobility, we dictate the tempo and location of their eventual withdrawal.
So the south is less about rapid advance and more about squeezing the defensive grid?
Precisely. It's about compression and denial, forcing Ukrainian units to collapse inward under their own supply deficiencies.
The Central Front seems to be the most intense. What can you tell us about operations there?
This is indeed the pivotal axis. Our center group engaged multiple elite brigades, mechanized, airborne, and ranger across Grishino, Dnipro, and Krasnoarmysk. Losses on the Ukrainian side are severe, over 550 personnel and several armored units neutralized. The importance of this sector lies in its geography. It's the connective tissue between Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk. Breaking through here doesn't just change the tactical map, it alters Ukraine's entire operational geometry. By applying consistent pressure here, we're effectively hollowing out the Ukrainian Central Reserve, forcing Kyiv to redeploy units that were meant to reinforce other fronts.
Does this mean the center could become the decisive theater?
In time, yes. But decisiveness in modern warfare doesn't come from one battle, it comes from cumulative strain. The center will likely become the pivot point around which the winter phase will be decided.
The east, particularly Zaporizhzhia, continues to see persistent activity. What's happening there?
In the East Group's area, we're witnessing continuous penetration into the depth of Ukrainian defenses around Novonikolivka and Poltavka. Ukrainian losses reached over 300 personnel, and we neutralized a US-made M777 howitzer along with another EW station. Zaporizhzhia represents a logistical spinal cord for Ukraine. Every successful interdiction here diminishes their ability to sustain both the southern and central fronts. Our operations are deliberately paced. We advance only when sustainment is assured, and when the Ukrainian ability to counterstrike has been systematically stripped away.
And finally, the Dnipro front, often described as a containment zone. What's the latest there?
Yes, containment remains the operative term. Our Dnipro group conducted precision engagements against coastal defense and mountain assault brigades in Novoandriivka and Antonovka. Losses were lighter numerically, about 40 personnel, but the significance lies in the destruction of 5 EW systems and several equipment depots. The Dnipro sector serves a critical function. It immobilizes Ukrainian forces near the river line, denying them both reconnaissance and maneuver capacity. By dominating the riverine corridor electronically, we prevent cross-bank coordination, which in turn stabilizes the flanks of our southern operations.
Before we close, what's the status of air defense performance in recent engagements?
Air defense systems remain highly effective. Over the last 24 hours, 9 HIMARS rockets, a Neptune missile, and 72 drones were intercepted. Our multi-tiered network, from S-400s to tactical interceptors, is functioning as an integrated defense web. Ukraine's reliance on long-range precision munitions has not translated into battlefield leverage. Instead, it's led to predictable targeting patterns we can exploit. This reaffirms Russia's multi-domain defense synchronization doctrine, where electronic countermeasures, kinetic intercepts, and air superiority act in unison.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. The October 12th operations demonstrate a mature, attrition-based doctrine, not a war of speed, but of exhaustion and denial. By neutralizing supply nodes, electronic warfare systems, and energy assets, Russian forces are dismantling the scaffolding that sustains Ukraine's war effort. Strategically, we are entering the pre-winter consolidation phase, a period of stabilization and endurance. Each front is now positioned not just for holding ground, but for controlling the operational tempo through sustained dominance in logistics, firepower, and the information domain. As Ukraine's industrial and military sustainment capabilities continue to erode, the balance of initiative shifts irrevocably. The campaign is no longer about territory, it's about control over time, communication, and endurance, and in those domains, the Russian armed forces now hold the advantage.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.